That's right. Looks like the conspiracy theorists are right again. Donald Trump and the administration decided to go ahead and release the JFK files. I believe it was over 80,000 pages, I believe, right? But we're going to be discussing what might be going over Democrats' heads about this whole situation, because they seem to continue to want to lean on the idea that this is a conspiracy. But first, let's go ahead and get caught up on everything regarding the release.
It has been 2 hours since the JFK files were released. Here's everything you need to know. CIA was watching Oswald before the assassination. And a man named Gary Underhill, who was connected to the CIA, fled Washington after he said that a small CIA clique was responsible. And 6 months later, he was unalived and they said he took his own life. Where have we heard that story before? Hours before Oswald was unalived, the FBI got an anonymous tip telling them that you should protect Oswald because the same thing's going to happen to Oswald that happened to JFK, and it's going to be done by the same group. Despite that, no extra security was taken for Oswald, and he was unalived hours later. CIA memo says that a source told investigators that Jack Ruby and Lee Harvey Oswald met at a nightclub weeks before JFK's assassination. One that knew Ruby for years came forward and said that Ruby said he had to unalive Oswald, that there was a bigger picture, he was under a lot of pressure, and he was worried about the safety for his family. The KGB deputy director said that Oswald was never a KGB agent. The Soviets were afraid that the JFK assassination would allow the United States to create an extremist plot to start World War III. Documents exposed that the CIA had 34 secret bases around the world in Africa, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. At the time, the Italian press blamed the CIA. The FBI ordered surveillance on Oswald's whole family, including his wife, fearing she could become a public voice questioning the official story. There are over 80,000 pages, and this is just part one, so follow for part two. And as always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
Shout out to WTF News. Make sure y'all go follow her ASAP. So, of course, I'm not going to be able to grasp everything at once, but what I did get from this was Jack Ruby, Oswald, they both were meeting up prior to what took place with JFK. And once the actions were taking place, then Jack Ruby felt like his family were at risk somehow. So he felt like the best way to do it was to off Oswald. And then Oswald's wife was basically obviously put under surveillance to make sure that she wouldn't leak any truths. Yeah, man, this is a real conspiracy theory, right? We need to completely dismantle them. Somebody said, thank you. I was in 6th grade, St. Thomas, when they came over the speaker. Girls were crying. Boys were happy to get out of school early. Biggest thing about the assassination, no cartoons on Saturday, all Kennedy all the time. It sucked the whole weekend. What was the driver's name? FBI and CIA should be dissolved, and most of them should be prosecuted. Now, JFK and Tucker Carlson was laughed at one point about this, right? When they were talking about the files being released and the conspiracy theories. Now, JFK Jr. called Joe Biden a traitor in 1994. This was also released in the documents. Joe was a senator then, decades before Joe Biden became president, and compromised U.S. national security by assisting family members that sold foreign influence. Get this, JFK Jr. died in a plane crash in 1999. And right here, you can see, where it's highlighted, accompanying handwritten / hand printed letter dated, I think that says 8/26/94, beginning, "Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor." Important to remember that JFK was considering run for the open Senate seat, and then before he died, Hillary Clinton claimed that seat. We are going to be talking about Hillary Clinton pretty soon. So the CIA and government involvement these theories aren't just conspiracy fringe anymore, right? So why I might go over Democrats here? Some Democrats, particularly those who prioritize institutional trust or focus on current political battles, might dismiss CIA or government involvement theories as fringe or outdated conspiracy nonsense. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. explicitly stated there's overwhelming evidence of CIA involvement, which could challenge that assumption, and such claims are baseless and partisan. Now, the JFK files, including what was released under Trump, reveal ongoing redactions and national security concerns that suggest government, including the CIA and FBI, may have withheld information for decades. Not even may have. You already see what's going on. And now, JFK warned that Joe Biden was a traitor, and suddenly, excuse me. I guess we allergic to that BS, right?
Did John F. Kennedy warn us about Joe Biden? As of yesterday, President Trump is ushering a new era of maximum transparency. Per his direction yesterday, previously redacted JFK assassination files are now being released to the public with no redaction. Promise made, promise kept. There are 1,123 total numbers of entry that should not be redacted. Now, this is the part where I find wild, okay? Did JFK Jr. warn us that Joe Biden was a traitor to America before he was taken out? This is something you guys need to keep in mind, okay? Biden didn't have a seat in the Senate until 1972. JFK's assassination happened on November 20th, 1963. What I find interesting is, did they use the same playbook with JFK with President Trump? And I'm talking about the kid on the rooftop, okay? Let me just say, these files weren't hidden for no reason, okay? We might have been able to avoid the last 4 years of seeing America be destroyed by Biden and his administration had these files come out sooner. Furthermore, okay, it's alleged that the assassination, turns out, was the start of the socialist woke taking over this country. I'm going to say the communist starts, it's alleged, okay, that the communist is in the CIA assassination of JFK, allegedly. We are watching an episode of WWE in the government version, okay?
Yes, we are. We could have possibly avoided the last 4 years had these files come out, is the claim. Do y'all think that's true? I don't know. I feel like the Democrats still would have positioned him and propped him up the way that they did, because they knew his history even without this. Me, not so much. Around the time of me being a liberal, a Democrat, I wasn't doing a lot of research, so there's that. But did JFK warn us? I say yes, he did. Yes, he did. This doesn't even make sense. Biden was in his early 20s. He graduated high school in 61 and had double bachelor's and law degree by 86, even though he had horrible grades and cheated so early mid-20s and nobody, or was he? But this said 1994. He was definitely not in his early 20s. Or 1991 or something like that, right? There's 5 of them, actually. Oh, my God. I cannot believe that picture just showed up. I'm going to have to, oh, my gosh. Wow, that sucks. Now, I'm not going to no more comment sections for the rest of this video. Trump's release of the JFK files should be celebrated not because it gave us answers we didn't already know, but because it acknowledges for the first time that we did know.
The true win of this day is a symbolic one, and Trump recognizes this, which is why he's so careful in his remarks around the files' release. Trump says he has no idea what's in the files, rather than lauding the contents, of which, by the way, he has been briefed already. He's merely framed this whole thing with, quote, "People have been waiting a long time for this release." This is wise, because of course there will be crumbs of new information, I'm sure of it. And I will sit eagerly by my television waiting for Oliver Stone's next film after he pores over today's files. But make no mistake, Trump's full release of the JFK files should be celebrated not because it gave us answers we didn't already know, but because it acknowledges, for the first time, that we did know. We knew from the moment the Warren Commission started silencing witnesses, from the moment Ruby was shot, from the moment they told us one bullet killed Kennedy. We knew. We knew our government is capable of great evil. The only antidote to government evil is transparency. And that, my friends, is what today was all about.
Yes. Yes, that's the biggest takeaway from this. Being able to have a government that actually is transparent, that actually practice what they preaches. Not just, hey, we're going to do this and make no attempts. Even if the Trump administration fails, the one thing that I can say, hey, at least he's putting his best foot forward. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. And, this just unveils decades of secrecy. The release of over 6 million pages. Wow. 6 million? Yeah, hold on. Is that accurate? After more than 60 years, fulfills a long-standing public demand for transparency about the JFK assassination, addressing decades of government secrecy that has fueled distrust. I mean, I get the point of that, but whew. The 1992 JFK Assassination Records Act, Collection Act mandated full disclosure by 2017. Of course, by 20. Wow. But delays persisted under multiple administrations. Trump said, hey, man, this is my second time around. Forget all that. Forget all that. Now, Liz Churchill suggests things are going to get a little hot. 73% of Americans don't believe Lee Harvey Oswald unalive JFK.
Now that I've been readmitted to Twitter, I've posted a number of things that have nothing to do with politics. I posted a terrific piece about some new revelations regarding the JFK assassination and additional documentation that Lee Harvey Oswald had been not only an informant for the FBI, but had also been trained to speak Russian by the CIA.
Roger, real quick, I have to pause you. He's the only person that can defect to Russia during a Cold War and then come back to America and get citizenship. It's like, come on, like Lee Harvey Oswald acted by himself. I just have to yell at people. I'm here in Dallas, right near the grassy knoll. I mean, I consider myself, pretty, well read on the subject. It's like, obviously, he didn't act alone, but neither here nor there. Sorry to cut you off. I just like, it blows my mind that even my dad is like that. He's like, oh, it's just a lone gunman. He's just a bad guy. It's like, this guy was highly connected. No way, impossible. Sorry to cut you off.
No, actually, what's amazing is the fascination that the American people continue to have with this subject. Trust me, our ratings just went up by the fact that we're bringing this up. And look, despite the very best efforts of the mainstream media, particularly CNN, that keeps insisting again and again that the Warren Commission was correct, that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone nut, a communist acting alone, 73% of the American people in a Gallup poll do not believe that. They just simply don't believe it.
They do not. And they have good reason not to. I mean, look, every time a file gets released, we figure out just a little bit more and more. Oh, wow. We were right. And by we, I just mean the American people. Myself, I wasn't too involved into this subject until the Trump administration. And of course, you guys, the American people, brought it to my attention. The depths of it. I knew about his death, but the curiosity surrounding that with the American people is something that I've learned over the last few years has still been priority of the American people. So Jack Ruby allegedly met with Lee Harvey Oswald at the nightclub weeks before JFK was unalive. So yeah, I misplaced this photo here. It's supposed to go a little bit earlier. Hillary Clinton, though. This is why I'll say all this is alleged.
Remember John F. Kennedy Jr.? He was declared the front runner for the New York Senate seat back in 1999. Days later, his plane crashed into the Atlantic Ocean, and his rival, Hillary Clinton, was elected senator. Mary Mahoney was a Clinton White House intern. She knew enough of the inner workings of Bill's sexual advancements to be a star witness during the Clinton impeachment trials. She was brutally executed at a Starbucks she was managing in 1997. In 1993, White House counsel Vince Foster was found dead in Fort Marcy Park near D.C. He supposedly killed himself, and among a lengthy list of potential foul play, the bullet was never found.
You know what? This is so creepy. And I think this is down the hole that's going a little too far. I think we get the point.
Then there's James McDougal, a key witness for White House prosecutors. He was serving his 3-year sentence for bank fraud at the Fort Worth Federal Medical Center in Texas. And just before he was to give a testimony before the grand jury, McDougal suffered a heart attack in solitary confinement. In 2015,
There's more. Hey, I know y'all want to watch the rest of this video. I'm just going to go ahead and retweet that thing. Y'all do what y'all do with the rest of that. I don't even want to leave no comments. I would just say this: promises made, promises kept.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination. And we're going to do that.
And that's exactly what he did. Automated comment right here. A bot says Trump releasing JFK files. More like a smokescreen for his own scandals. RFK Jr. out of the race. Good riddance. Another politician with a trust fund and no real world experience. Transparency from the guy who hid his tax returns for a year. Give me a break. Well, unfortunately, that aged horribly. Y'all go check on somebody today. You can quite literally be saving their life. And as always, I'm extremely appreciative of you following and watching and sharing these videos on this channel. For real. I appreciate y'all. Now go watch the next video.